Today we begin a series we've titled BC, Beauty and Beyond, introducing you to some parts of the province you may not be familiar with and some of the unique characters that make it so great. So we begin in northern BC, flying into Terrace. It's a 2-hour drive north from there on Highway 113. This 2,000 square kilometer slice of heaven is home to the Nisga'a First Nation and the river they depend on for their very survival. There are 4 distinct villages there: Kincolach, Lakaltsap, Gitwingsilth, and the largest, the capital of the region, New Aiyansh. And the story of this area begins with the salmon, on which these people are utterly dependent. The Nass River is the 3rd largest river in BC. Glacier-fed and pristine, it provides an abundance of salmon to the Nishka. This river quite literally runs through the veins of the people who live on it.
Oh, it's beautiful. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Ben Gnu works for the Nisga'a fishery, protecting this priceless natural resource. He says he's never damaged a prop in 10 years, and after our ride, I believe him. He's taking us to one of the fish wheels where they count the returning salmon.
Female, 58.5.
These ingenious contraptions, anchored along a 20-kilometer stretch of river, pull the returning salmon right up out of the water. DNA samples are taken, and the fish are measured and tagged.
58.5.
Then the salmon are returned to the water to continue their journey upstream to spawn.
On every tag that they put on the fish, there's a number and a phone number for the fisheries department. So you call that number if you catch a fish with one of these tags on it, give them the number, and it gives them a record of where that fish was caught, how far it traveled, how big it was when it was tagged. All of that information helps preserve the fishery.
Their work ensures an escapement of at least 200,000 salmon, the minimum number required to spawn and sustain fish stocks.
You're saying duck stay, or just talking to the fish.
Locals use drift netting techniques perfected over thousands of years, slapping the water to scare the salmon out of the shallows and into the nets.
Here, look at that spring salmon.
But preserving these ancient traditions is only half the battle for the Nishka. They're trying to create a brighter future for themselves, too.
This stick here is the talking stick.
Mitchell Stevens is the president of the Nisga'a Nation government, centered in the capital of New Aiyansh. 10 years ago, the Nisga'a signed what they call their final agreement and moved into a beautiful new legislative building. It was British Columbia's first modern treaty, restoring their right to self-government and control of their own destiny.
There is no blueprint for us to follow. We have to go out and do it on our own. Keeping in mind, there's been government in this country for some 143 years. We're in our 10th year.
It hasn't always been easy. The Nisga'a struggle with the realities of life on many First Nations communities. Substance abuse is an issue, and with commercial fishing boats sitting idle between openings, unemployment is high, averaging 50% in the Nass Valley.
You want to slow down, Marcus?
But guided by their mission statement, one heart, one path, one nation, they know education is the key to prosperity.
The heart of the tree shouldn't have any rot in there at all.
The final agreement renewed a sense of pride and allows them to resurrect Nishka traditions like canoe carving, skills that faded away under the rule of the Indian Act. Master carver Albert Tate is a living link to the past.
I could work on my own, but I like teaching, helping to bring that culture back and reigniting the enthusiasm of the young people of what they were, who we are. And this, of course, is a mountain goat.
And if Albert Tate represents one foot firmly planted in the past, these students represent the ones stepping into the future, singing a Bob Marley tune in their native language. Gitwingsilch, the smallest of the Nishka villages, boasts the highest percentage of post-secondary graduates. Bridging the generation gap is a priority for educators here.
It's giving them a foundation for learning. And rather than just reading a story or doing some math problems, they've actually got some emotion that comes through all of the work that they're doing, and that just sets them up for greater learning.
Gidwingsil is also home to a degree-granting university in partnership with UNBC. These kindergartners are expected to be in the class of 2026. And one of the most important lessons for any Nishka is the story of the volcano and lava flow that dominate the landscape.
We're coming up on the volcano here.
They're hoping to tap into its potential as a tourist destination. The flow covers 40 square kilometers at an average depth of 12 meters.
Now you can see the perspective of how far it went as well.
At around the same time of the eruption, about 235 to 250 years ago, a Spanish explorer named Bodega y Cuadra happened to be sailing at the mouth of the Nass. And he noted in his captain's logbook a massive orange glow in the sky and a warm wind blowing across the bow of his ship. He determined that to be a volcanic eruption, and we now know that that is the only independent verification of the story that's been passed down from generation to generation as part of the Nishka oral history. They tell of poison smoke coming down the valley, claiming 2,000 of their villagers.
It's basalt. It's the same kind of eruption you'd see at, say, Hawaii.
The lava left a moonscape that exists to this day, covered in lichen and moss. It's a stunning environment that few outside this region know about. But the Nisga'a hope that changes, bringing more visitors and their money to Lava Bed Memorial Park.
It's the youngest volcano flow in Canada. And so it's a bit of its own magnet, having it as a provincial park and protected in that way.
Access to the park is easy enough, but that's not the case everywhere.
We use the radio system on this part of the road.
Getting to the water and its outstanding sport fishing is tricky at best. There's a one-lane road to the government dock in Kincolach. Launching a boat out here would take nerves of steel.
It's a single-lane road at the moment, and we'd like to make it a two-lane road so that we can provide better access to members of our nation and also tourists who come to our community.
At the Nishka Salmon Lodge Bed and Breakfast, Ron Nice and his wife Jackie are ready for the brave adventurers who do make it out to the Nass Valley.
I really do enjoy this, you know.
Ron's in the middle of a career change. After 44 years as a commercial fisherman, he gave up cutting bait to cut cantaloupe for his guests. He's hoping the Nishka leadership embraces tourism like he has.
People are coming. They're coming with all different kinds of vehicles, and they need a place to stay, they need a place to eat, and they need something to do. So, yeah, it's time to blow that dust off all those plans and get rolling.
Thank you, sir.
Aha.
And for those who come, the rewards are great.
I think it's a unique place. Where can you walk on a lava bed in Canada? I mean, this is the last one that exploded in Canada, as far as I know.
We've traveled a lot all through the States and Canada, and this has to be one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. I can't imagine anybody spending their entire life without ever seeing this.
It's something the Nishka are eager to share, the beauty of their land, of course, but their culture and traditions, too. We were welcomed in New Aiyansh with a big community party.
Every celebration, of course, begins with a feast, and tonight is no different, although tonight is different because I'll be eating things I've never put in my mouth before, including ulican. Oh, it's kind of like beef jerky.
Yeah. Baked spring salmon eggs.
That's rich.
Deep-fried seaweed. Herring eggs and kelp.
Oh, that's a funky texture.
And the most exotic of all.
Smoked sea lion. Delicious.
After the feast, a performance by the Gitlak ceremonial dancers. Visitors are expected to join in with each of the 4 Nishka tribes, wolf, killer whale, raven, and eagle, all telling their ancient stories through music and movement. It remains to be seen how the story unfolds for the Nishka, but 10 years after signing their final agreement, at least they control how it's written. With their commitment to preserving the salmon they depend on and sustaining a culture that's rooted to the land they live on, the Nishka are ensuring the Nass Valley retains its unspoiled beauty for all of us to enjoy.
Well, as you can tell, we had a great time out there, a fantastic experience in the Nass Valley. Thanks so much to the people we met, the new friends we made out there. If you want to see more from our trip, including the full historical recount of the volcanic eruption, log on to our website. That's globaltvbc.com and click on the BC Beauty and Beyond button. Next week, our journey around the province takes us to the Chilcotin, and you'll meet some of the colorful characters who live there.